What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Brooklyn Monarch, and today we return with Matt of Angelmaker. Great to be able to talk with you.
Good to see you again, man. Yeah,
it's great to see you again, man. It's been a minute since I saw you on the Lorna Shore tour, and it's going to get even crazier tonight with you guys and Body Snatchers. So bringing the constant crowd killing to New York. We love it.
Yeah, it's the first time for us here, so it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you did play at the Kingsland, and it's the same group of people.
Yeah.
So
it was a great show too.
Yep.
So
it's going to be a family show tonight.
Yeah.
But it's so awesome to have you here. Your new album, Sanctum, kick-ass record for 2022. Definitely ended the year on an awesome note. Was there sort of like a preconceived vision in a way behind it? Were you just sort of like making a continuation from the self-titled album, or were you kind of like exploring more uncharted territory for Angelmaker with this one?
It was kind of a bit of both. I mean, we wanted to kind of like keep the roots of what Angelmaker is and have that kind of sound brought out in this album, but also try a bunch of new things. This is also the first album that we had with Johnny in the band, so that was like a really good addition for like the musical aspect, and his writing style and everything really suited what we were looking for and what we wanted in the progression of the band for the next album. So it was kind of trying some new things, and then a bit of old, like classic deathcore Angelmaker sound in that too. So mix of everything. Yeah,
of course, because I don't think you were in the band when this came out, but last year pretty much marked 10 years of like the first Angelmaker EP, Decay. Was there maybe sort of like a little bit of looking backwards in a way, as a method of moving forward?
So that was like pretty much right before I joined the band, and everyone in the band was like still in high school when they did that record. So they were about like 16 or something like that. And there was kind of like some songs are a little bit throwback to that in some like riffs and breakdowns and stuff. And, we always kind of want to, bring back like the old MySpace era of deathcore, but like have it more progressive and more modern sounding, with still retaining the same sound of what the band is.
You have the best of both worlds with Angelmaker. I feel like people who were listening to All Shall Perish or who early Suicide Silence or This Is Exile from Whitechapel to people who are getting into deathcore through like the Lorna Shores and Shadow of Intense. I think you are sort of like a good throwback and modern way of looking forward.
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, we try to have like our own unique like style of that kind of is almost like a breath of fresh air within the genre. So I mean, I hope we do that, and I mean, it's nice to hear when people say that we are one of the bands that got them into deathcore. So it's like really, it's very humbling to say the least.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I've noticed that with with certain songs on Sanctum, like the ones that really captured my eye were Gutless or What I Would Give. Lazarus was probably my favorite with the more orchestral elements that were in there. Is it fair to say like trying new things wasn't necessarily an obstacle with Sanctum? It seemed like that there was no boundaries with making it, right?
Yeah, everything kind of just flowed together really nicely. Like with those songs specifically too, like Gutless is more of like a hardcore inspired song, and we usually try to have something like that on every record. Like we had No Haven and such and such, right? So we try to have some hardcore elements put into songs, as well as like maybe having a more hardcore influenced song. So especially with like orchestral stuff too, that's like a newer thing with us, and that's all Johnny. That's like his brain behind all that, which is like really beneficial for us, I think, in the long run.
Definitely. I could see Lorna Shore being the soundtrack to like the next like Game of Thrones or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, those guys are awesome too. I love those boys.
Hell yeah. To me, the camaraderie of Angelmaker is something that I also found. Like every time I've seen you guys or talked with you guys, it's like a brotherhood from our days at Summer Slaughter 2017 to now. I consider Angelmaker to be really one of the first friends I made doing these interviews. But
we've known you a long time now.
I know, right? We go way back.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie that I see on your band, the way that you and Colton and everybody are like really deliver in Angelmaker. Do all of you in songwriting need to be kind of like in the same headspace creatively when writing new music? Or could all of you having maybe different ideas or different emotions maybe actually help sort of like add contrast or experimentation to the sound?
Yeah, I think everybody. Well, I mean, there's so many of us, right? We have like a million people in the band, so
I've heard people call you the Slipknot of
yeah,
deathcore.
pretty much. So I think certain people will have like good and bad days, and then sometimes that translates to when writing music, and then we can all put our different input into certain songs, and I mean sometimes the day just fits the song. If you're having like a really shitty day or if you're having a great day, sometimes the song mood will change. So we can have kind of the flow of certain instrumentation, or with Mike and Casey doing the lyrics, like how they feel when they listen to the instruments kind of brings out different emotions as well. So I think it's good to have as many members as we have too, because everyone is feeling certain or different things at the same time or different times. So
And of course, like with tour,
Yeah.
it's good days and it's bad days, of
Yes.
course. So like, but you have to deliver equally every time. So
Yeah.
like, does maybe like the meaning of the music change live in a way when there's crowd interaction and people are interpreting it, and you're feeling differently on the day that you perform it than when you first wrote it?
Yeah, there's definitely certain days when there's like low days, or if it's like a very special show, like tonight is a very special memorial show as well, so there's going to be some songs that hit a lot harder, more emotionally, and certain days like that. Yeah, but I mean, we all try to give it like 110% every day, regardless of how we feel on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked with you guys before on playing with like a variety of different bands, like when I saw you on Summer Slaughter versus playing with like Arsis, for example. But now I've also seen you play at a variety of different venues, from venues as big as like Webster Hall, the Gramercy Theater, to tonight, where there's probably going to be just as many people on the stage as off the stage in a way.
Crazy.
Yeah. But like, depending on the type of venue too, does that bring maybe like a different Angelmaker experience in a way?
Sometimes. I mean, it's more intimate when it's shows like tonight versus like a huge theater with the disconnect of the barrier and all the security and everything. And I mean, those guys do amazing jobs at those shows too, but there is a bit more of a disconnect from like massive shows, because everyone seems a little more far away, which I mean, I love playing both, honestly, but it is more like of an intimate vibe with shows like this as well.
Oh, thank you, man.
Getting a wristband.
Getting hooked up on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I will. Yeah. Shout out to Sean. Yeah. But because the intimate setting, in a way, like, is it almost like you have to practice? Is it almost like you're portraying yourself in a different manner? Because I'd imagine that with like the bigger ones, there's more atmosphere and like a little more cinematic. But with a show like tonight, it's more interactive and intimate. So do you almost feel like it's portraying two different sides of Matt Parent of Angelmaker?
Sometimes, yeah, I do. I definitely get that sometimes, yeah, where it's more, I want to more interact with people. I'll like make funny faces sometimes at people, and it's easier to do that with shows like this. So, it's funny when, you look at someone and they're like filming you, and then you make a funny face, and then you see them smile behind the camera, and that's always like something that really kind of warms my heart, and I love interacting with people that way. So that's why I do like shows like this and stuff like that. So a lot of the shows on this tour have been that way as well. So it's been different.
Circling back to songwriting, I have 2 more questions for you. But when it comes to the songwriting, is it easier to maybe write alone when you're in isolation and there's nothing between you and your instrument, or is it better to kind of be in the company of your bandmates when cultivating ideas?
Yeah, so most of the time, everyone writes kind of like by themselves. So like with Johnny, Colton, and I, like we all live kind of far away from each other. Colton lives on the island, Johnny lives in Vancouver, and I live about maybe like 40 minutes away from Johnny. So it's easier to do it remotely. We have in the past as well done it together, and that has brought different ideas to the table as well, which has helped. So it's nice to do both, but most of the time, especially recently, we've just been doing it remotely, and it's worked out. I mean, that's how Sanctum was born pretty much. It was like everything was done at everyone's house, like separately. So
And like the inspiration aspect of writing, this led me into my final question. This is like the debate I like having with artists in a way. And I get like just as many answers for A as B in a way. So do you believe inspiration is something that could be sought out? Is inspiration like you could look for it, or does it just kind of have to strike you in a way?
I know for me personally, It is a bit of both. Sometimes I'll listen to something that's not even close to being metal, and I'll get inspired from the melody or the hook from that, and that's kind of how I like to translate a lot of the leads and solos and stuff. Or if I hear like a vocal melody, for example, that gets stuck in my head, I find that if I can write like a guitar solo or some sort of chorus melody or something that will get stuck in your head, I feel like that is almost like a vocal hook. So yeah, all of that kind of translates. And I mean, sometimes I'll just have a dream and I'll have inspiration just out of nowhere, and I'll just wake up and be like, that's a cool riff, and start like writing down what it was. So
Yeah, I'd imagine inspiration tends to strike at the most inconvenient of times, right?
sometimes, yeah, in like the middle of a shower. Sometimes a lot of people say that, like, oh,
Yep.
you're like showering, and you're like, oh, that sounds really cool.
So let me pitch this idea to you, because
Yeah.
I've been pitching this.
Yeah.
They need to make waterproof like compressors and
Yeah.
gears and plugins, so like when people are taking a shower, they could just go right
Yeah.
to recording in
Yeah.
a way. Might short circuit the guitars here and there,
Yeah.
but
But it would be good. You'd have some awesome ideas all the time. So
yeah, adds a little flavor to the music.
Exactly.
And cars as well. Like put a
Yeah.
studio in the car, so while people are driving, they could
stuck
also
in traffic. You're like, oh shit, that's really cool, and then you quickly record it.
yeah have a recording studio in the car. What's the worst that could happen,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I know a lot of people sometimes just they'll hum like a melody on their phone or something to just like get the idea out so they don't forget it too. And I've done that with just like unplugged guitar, and I'm like, I need to like figure this out right now just so I don't forget what it was. But yeah, like I know tons of people that do that, and so it's kind of funny when it hits you sometimes just randomly.
Absolutely. I've seen people at like supermarkets or on the subway humming shit into their phone, and
Yeah.
people tend to look at them like they're insane.
Yeah.
But metalheads or whatever, we know what
Yeah.
they're doing. So
Like, I get you.
yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for always coming back on the show and for your endless support for this channel.
Yeah,
Just
no problem.
anything else with Angelmaker that you would like to promote after this tour with Body Snatcher for the Sanctum record cycle, if you're allowed to say, of course, since this will be uploaded by midnight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate everybody listening to the record, and if you enjoyed it and if it resonated with you, thank you so much for the support. And we are working on some new stuff, and we will be potentially touring around here sometimes in this year, I can say.
Wink.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
everybody. Matt of Angelmaker, pick up Sanctum if you haven't already. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.